was one physician from Europe discovered that she could cure cancer with a diet alone. And it was a diet based around flaxseed oil and no-fat cottage cheese. And she had decided that cholesterol was the wrong type of fat for the body, just from her own research, that the right type of fat for the body was omega-3 fatty acids. And we know a lot more about it now, where we know we need omega-3 and omega-6. It's just most of the time people get enough omega-6, so the shortage is with omega-3. That's what most people supplement for with the fish oil, which only really, it doesn't give you every type, and it's kind of questionable if it's over-processed, how much is really in there. And then there's the flaxseed oil. And there are different brands that have good names. But basically that's what people supplement for, because that's what we're deficient in largely in America. And she discovered that the sulfured proteins unique to cottage cheese were a really good delivery system for flaxseed oil, or for the omega-3 fatty acids in flaxseed oil, and that people seem to absorb it better when the two are combined. Now, on the internet, people were saying you could also combine it with yogurt, you could also combine it with tofu for vegans, which I was. I mean, at the time, 94 or something, I'd been a vegan since 97, so, I mean, or 2004, 97. So, I mean, I had been a vegan for like 7 years by the time this happened, more than 7 years, because I started, I think, in April of 97, if I'm not mistaken. So I wanted to try this because the reviews were just so good on the internet, and I knew omega-3s were necessary. I knew that I hadn't supplemented with it for quite a while. Maybe that's what had been holding my tumor at bay. And so I decided I was going to try it. Now, I had two choices. I could start with the tofu, or I could start with a no-fat cottage cheese and just give up being vegan for a while to try this thing. And I decided to start out with tofu for the first couple of days. But soy has its own problems. I mean, it has isoflavones, or, basically its own set of phytoestrogens, and very powerful phytoestrogens, which are plant compounds that mimic estrogen. And some studies, I think subsidized by the soy industry, claim that soy actually helps fight cancer, but other studies I've seen say no, it's somewhat carcinogenic itself. And there are some doctors who claim that their studies say it harms thyroid so much. I mean, there was just too much evidence against soy. I didn't want to really go with that for very long. So after the first couple of days, I decided, well, it's only for a short time period, and I want to give myself the best chance. I'm going to try the no-fat cottage cheese, and I bought organic no-fat cottage cheese and tried this thing. What happened after that was I started to improve rapidly, and I was just so impressed. You know, there were accounts on the internet saying it even helped with lung cancer, and even Hulda Clark has problems with lung cancer. In one of her books, she said in her experience, the tumor starts shrinking when they treat the person. The tumor pulls away from the lung starts bleeding, and the patient dies. I mean, everyone has problems with lung cancer. It's a really hard type of cancer to treat. And here were all these testimonials on the internet saying, well, yeah, it cured my friend's lung cancer, or I had lung cancer and it cured that. So everybody was just raving about this no-fat cottage cheese and flaxseed oil thing. And I must say, within the first couple of days of me trying it, I knew it was working. And then I switched to the cottage cheese thing, and I tell you, in a few weeks, all my bad symptoms are gone. And there was still somewhat of a tumor there, but it was going down. It was just amazing. And for a vegan to sit here and tell you that, yes, dairy products help save my life, that's quite a testimonial. I mean, I wouldn't pull your leg on that one. It's all true. It works really well for me. And so that was the final piece of my treatment that I put together for myself. And of course I kept zapping. I stayed on no-fat cottage cheese and flaxseed oil for a little while longer than when I knew it was pretty much over. I continued to zap for a while. I continued to do everything for a while, but not much longer. What I did was I switched to flaxseed oil, like in my lentil soup, or over my vegetables again, the way I used to eat it, years prior. Only I was more conscious about putting it in with my protein foods, like if I was eating a lot of beans. Basically, the time of day I delivered the flaxseed oil to myself was usually around the same time I was eating my plant protein as a vegan. So I did go back to being a vegan. The thing is, I basically stopped treating myself after a certain period of time. It wasn't years, it was only, maybe another month or two beyond that I basically didn't bother to zap anymore. The lump was still there, but it was much smaller, around its original size or a little less. I'd say maybe about the size of a big marble now. And it stayed there. It stayed there for maybe a couple years after that, getting very gradually smaller, very gradually smaller. I don't have it anymore. If you press far enough into the breast, it seems like, it's a little bit stiffer near the glands there, but it's probably just scar tissue. I have seen interviews of doctors saying this or that woman was autopsied who had, well actually I should specify, in this particular movie or DVD, there's an interview with Dr. Stafford, and he was talking about women who had been cured of cancer by the Rife machine. And he said when they were autopsied, there wasn't any cancer there anymore. It was just scar where it was. And I imagine that's probably what I have. As far as that little bit of resistance there, it probably is scar tissue from where it used to be. I didn't realize until I saw that in an interview that there would be any scar tissue left from something like that, but I guess there would be. As far as zapper goes, learning about what it is, where you can get one, this sort of thing. I have made a YouTube video on the zapper, basically demonstrating how it works. You can buy Hulda Clark's books. A couple that deal with the zapper are A Cure for All Diseases and A Cure for All Cancers. They were her earlier books from the 1990s. There are also other books. She just recently came out with one, which I haven't even read yet. One thing I should mention is that I had been taking a good multivitamin and multi-mineral supplement regularly before this happened, and I took that also all throughout it. Another thing that people might be interested in is the dosage for the flaxseed oil and cottage cheese. I had seen different accounts on the internet, and I had seen the full Budwig diet in the book by Fisher, the How to Fight Cancer and Win book. I mean, the Budwig diet itself has things in there like flaxseed meal, champagne, but all of the accounts on the internet seem to center around a half cup of no-fat cottage cheese per day, with varying amounts of flaxseed oil mixed into it. I had seen it as high as 4 tablespoons, which would be half as much flaxseed oil as cottage cheese. That's a really oily mixture. All the way down to 2 tablespoons, or I don't remember if I'd seen less than that. I do know that for somebody in my weight range, about 1 tablespoon a day is right. Unless you're really thin, it's going to be 1 tablespoon a day. Maybe more if you're really heavy, but like really thin people can get away with maybe 2 teaspoons a day. I knew that the proper dosage for someone like me would be, just under normal circumstances, 1 tablespoon a day. So what I did was, the first day I tried it, I did the 4 tablespoon thing. The next day I dropped it down a little, but then within a few days I was down to 2 tablespoons a day, mixed into the half cup of no-fat cottage cheese every day.